If you've already got one business and you're thinking about starting a new one, so like maybe you have one Etsy shop but you want to start a second one, you might be asking yourself if you should keep everything under one umbrella or start over this new business from scratch with a whole new website, new social media profiles, and all of that. Keep watching to get the 5 questions that will help you make the right decision in a snap. Hi, my name is Mei Pak and I help makers, artists, and designers make a living by selling their handmade products online. I've been running a handmade business for over 14 years now, and I've been coaching other small business owners on how to run their own creative businesses for half of that time. So that's right, I run 2 completely different businesses. And if we're really counting, we technically have 6 different businesses in our household. Like, they each literally get their own Schedule C when it's tax time. And when you have multiple ideas for businesses like that, you have to decide whether or not you're going to keep everything under the same umbrella or split them up and keep them separate. So today I'm going to give you 5 questions to ask yourself to make that decision a whole lot easier. Okay? Question number 1. Have you fallen out of love with your first business? And don't be afraid to get totally honest here. It can be hard to admit the truth when you've put years of your life into it. I get it. But if you're getting really excited about your new business, think about whether you're truly energized to run 2 different companies, or do you actually deep down want to just pivot your first company to do this new idea? There's a huge difference between pivoting and then starting an entirely new business, and that is something that you need to get clear about. Now, before you go too deep, this is a great time to think hard about your first business. Have you really taken the time to make your first business as smooth and as efficient as it can be? For example, my business, Tiny Hands, I sell polymer clay scented food jewelry, and my branding is so spot on and my marketing and sales systems run so smoothly that it doesn't matter what second business idea I come up with, because it would be confusing to run it under the Tiny Hands umbrella. But if you're able to add in the second business idea without even blinking into your first company, this could be a sign that your first company isn't niched down enough and that you need to go back and do some work there. So that's for you to decide. Question number 2. For these 2 companies, is the audience and branding largely overlapping? So that is, will a person who is an avid fan of your first business still be interested in your second one? This is where it's really important to think about your ideal customer. And I don't want you to cheat here, because I know it's really easy to say, oh, well, I sell pet portraits, and obviously those customers would like my pottery business too, because I have such a cool modern aesthetic that fits both of those. I want you to answer your branding and ideal customer questions for both of your companies, but have you thought about what colors will resonate best for both? What type of copy? Think about your ideal customer and then step back and look at them once you've done those exercises. How much do those things overlap? If you genuinely have 2 companies that have overlapping audiences and aesthetics and branding, then yeah, there are paths for you moving forward to keep the same social media profiles and the same website that unifies both businesses. But if you've done this work and you think, the demographics are actually a bit different if I'm doing them both justice and serving them best, then that's your clue that they might be better off being split off into 2 separate profiles and businesses. In the early days of Creative Hive, I thought I had some people in my Tiny Hands audience who were interested to learn how to start their own handmade business. So the very first time I tried to sell some coaching sessions, I put that listing up on my Tiny Hands website. Well, can you imagine what happened? No one bought it. Because the overlap of audience between the 2 businesses either wasn't strong enough or it just wasn't there at all, which is why both Tiny Hands and Creative Hive exist as separate businesses. And I'm so glad for this, because both of them can stand on their own 2 feet independently, and they both require very different systems of operations and teams to keep them running. Question number 3. Do the products of both of these companies form some kind of a continuum that would be reasonably packaged under one umbrella? And does adding the second company make you a stronger competitor than your first company standing alone, or does it just make it look like a whole mess? So for example, let's say you are a florist and you now have a passion for photography and you want to make a second photography business. And you're asking, do these fit together or should they be separate? Well, if you were doing wedding florals before and now you want to have a wedding photography company, you can put those under one umbrella and it would make sense to the customer, right? You could brand it as a one-stop wedding shop for people in your local area. And that combination actually makes you a stronger competitor than you would have been before as just a florist. However, let's say if the two companies, when put together, look like a mismatch or it's not gaining you followers in a way that makes sense for both businesses, then that's a sign that they shouldn't be put together. So one example of that is, say you were a florist and you were also a dog walker. Maybe those two can't reasonably be put together, right? Do you see where I'm going? Question number 4. Is the new company best served by leveraging the resources of your first one? Or is it going to suffer from the baggage? I think we all think, oh, I have 10,000 followers on Instagram. If I start a new company, obviously it's best to show all of my existing followers to this new company. It'll get such an advantage by being merged as one. But that's not necessarily the case. First off, by increasing the size of your business, you run the risk of becoming too general, which means basically you'll be losing out on that specialized niche advantage where you're known as the shop that does realistic, super cute scented food jewelry. Imagine if I started selling stickers and stationery and fashion accessories like bags and hair ties and shoes. My business would be more general, right? And no longer as niched down, and as a side effect, I would no longer be as memorable to other people. And if people can't remember my business, I'm not going to make any sales. Makes sense, right? A good rule of thumb here is simple sells. Also, for the social media account example, while there are certainly gains from having a larger account in terms of attracting new followers because you have all this social proof, you also will experience less engagement as your account gets larger and older. A lot of the old followers you got from like 5 years ago probably don't even use the same Instagram account anymore. So it's likely that by starting a new account that's directly targeting your ideal customers of that second company, that you will get better results overall. So think about whether you're holding the second company back by forcing them to be together. Now, the 5th question. This one might be the hardest in terms of being really honest with yourself, but I have to put it out there because we've all been there. We're all human, myself included. Are you trying to keep your two companies together because that's the best thing for both of the companies, or because it feels like so much work to go through setting up the second business properly? I'm not going to lie, setting up a new business is going to be annoying, right? I mean, you have to start a new website, get a new domain name, get new social media profiles, put up all your images, get new photography, get a new logo, get new branding, and now you have to do marketing twice. It's going to be a lot of work. But if you're not feeling like you have the energy to invest in starting a second business, you have to really ask yourself whether you have the energy to run and manage and maintain and upkeep a second business. It's a lot of work. Trust me, it is way more painful to split up two companies into separate newsletter subscribers, separate websites, separate SEO after you've glommed them together than it is to do it right from the start. So do that thinking now to avoid a lot of pain later. Now, because you stayed to the end, I have a bonus question number 6 for you to ask yourself. Is your first business already automated and doing well? This is a tie-in to question number 5, right? It's a lot of work to start a new business from scratch, and I think it's totally feasible to start a new business if your existing business is already doing well. You're happy with it, you've got automated systems, and things just flow smoothly. You're not trading time for dollars with that business, meaning you're not working in the business, you're working on it. So a good way to check is if you go on vacation for a month, can your first business continue operating and making sales without you? If the answer is yes, then you're probably ready and able to start a whole new other business. I hope you found this video helpful with your decision. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. If you're making this decision right now in your business, let me know what you're thinking in the comments below. Ask me any questions and subscribe to my channel for more handmade business tips. And stay on to watch this next video on the screen.